Today we're going to start right in on the medical Qigong, and then Henry's going to join us at the end and give us more tips and give us more Qigong philosophy. So let's go ahead and do our warm-ups. We're going to start together with the feet together. And then we're going to open up to the left. I'm going to try to mirror you. The feet are going to be parallel, about hip width, shoulder width distance apart. We're going to settle into the space. Relaxing the bottoms of the feet, letting them melt into the earth. Softening the knees, relaxing the low back, relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the jaw. And then maybe allowing the very top of the head, the crown of the head, to lift up into the sky just a bit, creating some space in the cervical spine. And then with the right hand in a loose fist, we're going to start our tapping about 3 to 4 finger breaths beneath the belly button. We're going to be opening up the left side first. I'm going to try to mirror you. Breathing in and out through the nose. The tip of the tongue is touching the roof of the mouth. We're traveling up the midline of the body. Connecting our mind's awareness to the areas that we're tapping. Breathing in and out through the nose. We're waking up the channels, promoting that qi and blood flow. If any of the exercises that we do today cause any type of pain, especially joint pain, please feel free to modify them. We never want to put ourselves into pain in this type of practice. Pain is typically some form of qi and blood stagnation. And by the very definition with medical Qigong, we're trying to take away stagnation. Wiping out anything you don't need or want, letting it go back into the earth. Settling back in, this time opening up the right side of the body. Wiping out anything we don't need or want. Letting it go back into the earth, letting the earth transform it into useful energy for itself. Okay, we've opened up the channels in the upper half of the body. Now we're going to work on the lower half of the body. So we're going to widen our stance, still keeping those feet parallel and tapping the inner thigh and then up at the hip crease. This is an excellent chance to really relax those shoulders, relaxing the elbows, the wrists. And as you breathe, see if you can drop the breath just a little further into the torso, maybe further into the diaphragm, maybe into the belly, or not, wherever you can allow the breath to flow. Okay, continuing on, widening the stance a little further. Tapping down the inner aspect of the leg towards just above the medial malleolus, the ankle, or wherever it's comfortable for you. Then transferring to the lateral aspect of the leg, traveling back on up towards the hips and the glutes. Once you get to the glutes, go ahead and slide that left foot a little closer to the right, maintaining hip width, shoulder width distance. I'm going to turn around. Continuing on to just underneath the rib cage or wherever it's comfortable for you. We're trying to wake up those kidneys, wake up that kidney energy. Here you may want to lighten the tapping. Before then placing the palms at the low back. And then circling down the sides and up the spine. Warming the kidneys, warming the kidney area in the low back. Before then resting the palms at the low back and then gently closing the eyes. As you inhale through the nose, guiding the breath in the chi to the low back. Exhaling, allowing that chi to flow to wherever it's needed within the body. Inhaling through the nose, guiding the breath in the chi to the kidneys, allowing them to fill up with energy. And then exhaling, allowing that energy to flow to wherever it's needed. Inhaling, connecting the mind's eye with the kidneys. Exhaling, allowing the mind and body to rest and relax. And then when you're ready, gently opening the eyes, letting the arms come back down to the sides, and then closing, bringing that left foot back to the right. Okay, so today we're going to go over 2 more exercises from the Golden 8. We're going to review the Bend for Health exercise, which is the kidney and urinary bladder exercise. But first, we're going to do the Archer exercise, which is for the heart and small intestine. And we strengthen the heart energy, the heart chi, through the pericardium. So let's go ahead and begin. We're going to open up to the left. Feet are parallel. If you want, you can bring your stance just a tad wider for this exercise, just a tad wider than hip width, shoulder width apart. You're going to soften the knees. And for the mechanics of this exercise, you're going to bring both arms up in front of the breastbone, in front of the clavicle. And first, the left hand is going to be on the outside. The right hand is closest to the body or the torso. And then we're going to push out with that left hand, the blade of the pinky. And we're going to make a claw with the right hand, pulling back. So we're pushing out to the left with the left hand, the blade of the left pinky, and creating a claw with that right hand, elbow pulling back. Our gaze is traveling with the left hand. I'll talk more about that in a moment. And then we're going to push as if against an invisible wall, and then pull back in an opposing force, not imposing. I don't think imposing, opposing. And then we're going to rotate the wrist, gazing at the inner wrist of the left, releasing the claw of the right, and bring both arms back to the center. This time that left hand is going to be closer to the body, the right hand on the outside. So we can then go to the right, making a claw with the left, and then pushing out with the right, the blade of the pinky of the right hand, the palm up as if you're pushing against an invisible wall. Rotating the wrist, allowing both hands to come back to the center. This time the right hand is closest to you, the left hand on the outside. Whichever direction the blade of the hand is going, that's the hand that's going to be on the outside so it can flow freely out to its direction. And then releasing and coming back to the center. And pushing out with the right, pulling back with the left. Good. Now, theoretically, you want that palm up. If that doesn't feel good to you, if that's too much on your wrist and your hand or your arm, you can allow it to go however far it wants to go. Also, theoretically, you want the fingers together. Once again, if that doesn't work with your hand, with your construct, that's fine. Coming back to the center. Out with the left, pulling back with the right. Now, also theoretically, we want the arm, the clavicle, and the rear arm all to be in alignment. Okay, so meaning one arm's not up, one arm's not down, or they're both up, or they're both down. They should all be in alignment. Bringing back to the center. The gaze of the eyes go to the middle finger, the very tip of the middle finger, and then when the wrist comes back, it's to the inner wrist. Transferring the gaze to the tip of the middle finger, and then gaze transferring to the inner wrist. Releasing the hands, the arms. We're going to work on the breath now. So on an inhale, we come up into position, and then on an exhale is when we float the arms out and back. Inhaling, gathering the arms back to the center. Exhaling, once again, through the nose. So we extend. Inhaling. Exhaling on our expansion. Inhaling as we contract. Exhaling through the nose. Inhaling also through the nose. If you like, you can add in the lower half of the body by simply sinking, bringing more weight upon the rear leg. In this case, in my case, it would be the right leg. And now it would be the left. So wherever the claw is, that's where you're sinking. And then as you come back to center, you redistribute the weight. Go ahead and start working with your own breath. So you may want to move a little faster or a little slower. Allowing yourself full, relaxed breaths. Relaxing into the movement, relaxing into the exercise. If you can, relax the entire body except for that claw. That's the only thing that should be holding tension. So by gazing at the very tip of the middle finger and then at the inner wrist, we're helping to create that connection with the pericardium channel. And the pericardium channel in Chinese medicine is the heart protector. So we're activating the heart in an indirect way. Nourishing the heart, strengthening and regulating that heart energy. About one more time on each side. Once you reach the center, go ahead and release the hands and close, bringing that left foot back to the right. So that's the archer exercise from the Golden 8. Yesterday we worked on the kidney urinary bladder exercise, so we're going to review that one now. Opening up. Feet hip width, shoulder width apart, a little wider is okay. Once again, settling into the space. We're going to sweep the arms out, tracing the lower dantian, that belt of the lower dantian. Placing the palms at the low back. Looking up and back, opening the throat and the chest, maybe the belly, before then coming forward however far it works for you. So maybe your back isn't feeling quite warmed up this morning and this is as far as you want to go, that's fine. Then we're going to roll back up to standing. Looking up and back, once again, going as far as it feels good to you. Releasing the hands, reaching up high into the sky, and then reaching forward. However far it feels good to you, connecting the tips of the middle fingers, remember the pericardium channel, with about between the second and third toe, a third of the way up at the very bottom of the foot. We're using our mind's eye to connect the pericardium with the kidney. And then we're going to roll back on up again. So we're inhaling. Exhaling into the kidneys, allowing that full exhale. Inhaling as we look up. Exhaling as we come forward. Inhaling as we roll up again. Reaching back, releasing the hands, reaching high up in the sky. Exhaling as we come forward, connecting the pericardium with the kidneys. Inhaling as we stay in this connection. Exhaling, and then rolling on up. A few more times. Inhaling. Exhaling. In and out. Inhaling. And exhaling. In and out. And then inhaling back to standing. A few more times. Inhaling. Exhaling. In and out. Trying to relax the neck and the head. Inhaling. Stacking one vertebra on top of the next. Opening up the throat and the chest. Exhaling. Falling forward. If you're feeling particularly flexible today, you can go ahead and either connect the middle finger with the foot or wrap that thumb around the instep. We're taking that extra inhale and exhale. And then inhale back on up to standing, taking your time. Okay, go ahead and start flowing with your own breath. Your breath is the driving force of the exercise. The more open and relaxed the breath is, the easier the qi and the blood will flow. And about one more. Once you come back on up to standing, go ahead and hold for just a moment. And then when you're ready, go ahead and close by bringing that left foot back to the right. Okay, so now we're going to work on closing. We want to bring the feet together as close as possible. This helps us retain all that wonderful energy that you've been cultivating over the past 30 minutes. Bringing the feet together, then we're also going to bring the palms together, creating some friction, transferring some of that wonderful energy, that wonderful chi to the palms. And then traditionally, men place their left hand first on the lower dantian and then right hand on top. For women, traditionally, it's right and then left. I'm not going to mirror you. So you're going to go up your right and then down your left. We're going to do that 9 times. We're starting to gather that chi within the body. The circles are beginning to get a little larger. Bringing our mind's eye to the abdomen. And once we've done 9 circles up the right and down the left, we're going to switch directions, going up the left and down the right. Now we're concentrating that energy into the lower dantian. And we're simply going to rest the palms in the lower dantian, closing the eyes. And with the tip of the tongue touching the roof of the mouth, we're going to inhale, guiding that breath in the chi to the lower dantian, allowing it to fill up. And as you exhale, allowing it to settle and store. Inhaling, guiding the breath in the chi to the lower dantian, allowing it to fill up with energy. Exhaling, allowing it to settle and store so that you may use it throughout the rest of your day. Breathing on your own a few more times. Letting the mind's eye, the mind intention, flow to that lower dantian.
Thank you so very much for waking up early on a Saturday morning to practice medical Qigong with me. Henry is going to take it now and answer all of our questions.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm going to try to answer some of the questions. Good morning. Thank you so much for coming. I know it's Saturday, although every day of the week starts to seem the same these days. But it is Saturday, in case you're wondering what day of the week it is. I do want to share a few additional tips today about what you can do at this time. Number one, okay, in terms of immunity and health, is sleep. Okay, make sure you're getting enough sleep. You're not staying up late binge watching Netflix or arguing with someone on YouTube on Facebook. Those things can be kind of stressful, which is the second thing that you want to do for your health is your mental health. Try not to spend too much time on social media. If you do, stick with the inspiring stuff, things that really nourish your heart, connecting with friends, connecting with family, things like that. That's really important because we're all staying at home and it can feel a little bit lonely, a little depressing. Hopefully most of you have a window or a backyard that you can go out and get some sunlight. But definitely try to walk if it's safe, walk around, get some fresh air. It is actually fresh air these days in LA because people aren't driving as much. The air quality is actually getting better. So yeah, those are some simple things to begin with: sleep, stress, and then I'm going to give you a glimpse of what I have in my medicine cabinet. Let's see. So first thing here, it's soap. I think we all have some hand soap. So number one is really simple. Everyone can get soap. Wash your hands. 20 seconds. Sing the happy birthday song. So all this is very basic, but also very important. And wash your hands as often as you can, especially if you're going out. When you come back, wash your hands. When you're in doubt, if your hands are clean, wash your hands. And especially when you're outside, don't touch your face because we do that a lot. So you really have to practice not touching your face. Going through Chinese medicine, and we have to do this because we don't want to get ourselves sick. So that's a really important thing is when you touch your mouth, when you touch your nose, the virus gets over here, and then that's how it can enter your system. There's no recommended scents or flavors. My wife got this particular one for me. It's pumpkin scent. So now you know a little secret about me. I have a weakness for pumpkins. So I love pumpkin pie, and in the fall when they have that pumpkin spice stuff, I always get one. So we all got our little vices, but so that's why she got me this soap. This one seems to be very popular. It's not a particular herb in Chinese medicine, but toilet paper is important. But if you don't have toilet paper, people are concerned about running out. If there's bidets, that's actually much more environmentally sound. I know it's something that's really weird to have. I don't see them very much in the US, but they're quite common if you travel to Europe and in parts of Asia as well. So that's something to consider if you are concerned that toilet paper might be running out, or if you just want to be more environmental and not use as much paper, because it's actually a lot more clean than wiping your butt with dry paper. Okay, so some things that you can get at the store. Manuka honey. Okay, so most honeys are really good for your immune system. Okay, but Manuka honey especially is really good. The Manuka flower has a lot of antiviral, antimicrobial properties. And this is one you can actually get, this particular brand, at Trader Joe's. And it's actually a lot cheaper. If you go to Whole Foods, it's going to be really expensive. Manuka honey's particularly more expensive. You get normal honey, it may be a few dollars. but I think this one is, I think $12 or so. And it's not a huge bottle. So you don't want to use this just to put on your toast or put in your oatmeal. This is something more medicinal. So I keep this when I start to feel like a tickle in my throat. I feel a little bit under the weather. I take this out and take about a teaspoon twice a day just to help top off my immunity. And again, like Trader Joe's is I find the most affordable option. And there's a lot of different certifications out there. UMF is the one that I recommend. That's the one that's from New Zealand, and that's the one that certifies the quality at certain standards. So they have different numbers, starting at like 5. Those are kind of weaker. So anything like 10 plus, I recommend. It goes all the way up to 20 plus. This is UMF stands for the unique Manuka factor, and that gives you an idea of how much of that antimicrobial, antiviral property is within the honey. And honey has been shown not only to for strengthening immunity, but also to help shorten things like colds and flus. And what we're dealing with is a variant of the cold. The common cold is a variant of that, obviously much more severe, much more virulent, contagious than the common cold. So, but the early stages, we approach it the same way. Try to prevent from getting sick, strengthen your immune system. So, if you're well right now, that's great. Do things to continue to top off your immune system. And if you're starting to feel a little bit tickle, a little under the weather, you can still do a lot of the similar things initially to help try to kick it out by strengthening your immune system, reinforcing things. Okay, so there's that. This is very common. And I checked a few days ago, and they still have it at Trader Joe's. People haven't made a run for it yet. People are still making a run for toilet paper. So take your opportunity now before everyone realizes Manuka honey can help. This is another one. I'm sure most of you have heard of Airborne. I have some reservations about it, but it is a mainstream version of, there's Chinese herbs in here. So they've kind of mainstreamed Chinese herbal formulas. And this is a modification of that. And they tack on like vitamin C in here, and vitamin C is really good for the immune system. In terms of, it hasn't really proven to be as good for prevention as much as it is to help shorten the length of your cold or flu, as well as reduce the severities. And that's another aspect you want to tackle as well. If you feel a little bit under the weather, is make sure you take something. Vitamin C, they say 200 milligrams to 400 milligrams is optimal. And depending on the form that you take, if you take too much, you're actually just going to pee it right out. So it tends to be a waste. So you don't want to take too much. And the form that is important too. So I've been using Emergency for a long time. They have other versions like Oaloa. That's also good. And they're in a form that your body takes in more readily. So these are some little shortcuts you can do to help. Zinc is another good one. Again, this is more for if you start to feel a little bit under the weather, whether it's cold or flu, because a lot of the signs are the same initially. So you really can't tell what you have. But this is the time that you want to just try to kick it out. And so there's a lot of different kinds of zinc lozenges that you can do. And again, these are more for helping to shorten any sickness that you have with the cold or flu, or to help reduce symptoms, severity of the symptoms. Okay, so those are kind of more off-the-shelf things. I also have Chinese herbs that I keep in my cabinet, things that are standard formulas. And, in China, they've gone through many cycles of epidemics, and these are recorded in Chinese medicine. Chinese medicine is, 4,000 to 5,000 years old. So we've been through a lot of epidemics, and we've treated and we've tried to figure out what's been going on. So a lot of those formulas that they used in China to fight the COVID-19 is actually derived from the learnings of all these different epidemics that's happened.
Everybody hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, so I was just talking to
So I was just talking to myself here.
Just for a little bit, just for a tiny bit.
How far back do I have to go? What was the last thing you heard from me?
You were talking about Wenbing with the Chinese medicine because China.
Okay. Oh yeah. So okay. So should we rewind a little bit? So this recent outbreak of the COVID-19. So in China, they did treat. So they do a lot of combination with Western and Eastern medicine, especially with the mild to moderate cases. Basically, people who don't have to be in the hospital, people who don't have to be in the ICU. What's really effective is the Chinese herbs to help people recover and help people stay away from the hospitals. So what we're finding is that, you know, a lot of these old standard formulas, modified a little bit, are very effective for treating those mild to moderate cases, because we treat them just like similar symptoms that you would have with flu and cold, like fevers, cough, headaches, sore throats, things like that. So, you know, based on symptoms, we have herbs that are antiviral, they're antimicrobial. So those are really helpful at this time. So this particular formula, this is called the Jade Windscreen. I use this a lot when I start to feel just a little tiny tickle. Again, like when I start to feel, so you really have to be in your body. That's really important. And that's why Qigong is really important, because you start to communicate, you start to listen to your body. And so, you know, if you're not listening to what your body's saying, it's really hard to tell what's happening. But if you start to be able to communicate and listen, your body's saying, hey, something's going on, I'm fighting something. Okay, that's actually a good thing. And that's when you can start to really get ahead of the game and try to tackle things before they get worse. So Jade Windscreen, it's a really simple formula. The key herb is actually astragalus. And that's something I think most people are now familiar with as an immunity boosting herb. It's a qi tonic in Chinese medicine, and that's the chief herb in this formula. So if you do need this, let me know. I do have a batch of this that I can send out to folks too. But if you're seeing an acupuncturist, they would have it as well. You might see it on Amazon, but I really wouldn't trust the source of Amazon, especially if it's from a third-party seller selling herbs. So definitely be careful. Obviously, different presentations call for different things. So depending on a combination of symptoms, you don't want to just take a one-size-fits-all herbal formula. But this is one that I do have readily on hand. And then I do keep some custom formulas. These are more particular to my constitution and what I need. So there's that as well. So custom formulas are modifications based on your exact presentation. So in contrary, like in Western medicine, they try to have some general approaches in terms of pharmaceuticals, but we look at it as more of an individual type of presentation. And everyone's different based on your constitution, based on what's going on in your body. So you can private message me, or you can email me if you want to just get more clarification information. Another one that I keep on hand a lot is we call it Xiaoyao San, the ease tonic. And this one is, we use because in Chinese medicine, we look at body, mind, and spirit to be one. Okay, so your body is not separate from your emotions. And I use this one a lot for stress. And, you know, obviously we have a lot of stress right now. If you do a lot of Facebooking, you probably have a lot of stress. And staying inside, getting cooped up, that's also very stressful too. So things like this, these are kind of the more basic formulas. And then, you know, you modify and you customize to, you know, these are more for like, okay, I got specific things going on. So like with the coronavirus, you know, a lot of things are similar. In the beginning, you feel a little bit like under the weather, or you feel weak, or you feel like feverish or sore throat. And then it progresses to different stages, to like having like a cough, having like feeling like there's tightness, or, you know, unable to expectorate, sputum, things like that. As you get stronger symptoms, then there's different formulas. And obviously you want to go, you know, check with the ER or the urgent care if you get really severe symptoms. But in terms of moderate stuff, they're sending a lot of people home.
If they don't have shortness of breath, so my wife's actually works for Kaiser, and she's actually working in the hospital right now. And they are seeing more and more cases in the ICU, people who are testing positive for COVID. But there's a lot more people they're sending home because they're trying to keep the ICUs open for the more severe cases. So if you don't have shortness of breath, usually they just send you home and say, hey, try to do what you can. And that's when, something like Chinese herbs are very helpful because they can help address the symptoms as well as help strengthen your immunity and shorten the time that you're sick, and hopefully keep you out of the hospital. Okay. So those are my tips for today. I hope that's very helpful for you guys. In addition to the Qigong, obviously you want to continue practicing Qigong, especially at this time. So I hope to see you guys all tomorrow, as well as the rest of next week. Thank you for coming.